From BLC Studios in Mankato, Minnesota, this is the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin. With your host, Shane Frederick.
This is the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin. My name is Shane Frederick. I'm the host, and joining me this week is Minnesota State junior defenseman Akito Hirose. How you doing today, Akito?
Fantastic. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good. Great to have you here. Minnesota State is coming off a two-game sweep of Lake Superior State in the first round of the CCHA tournament. Two pretty good wins this weekend, defeating the Lakers 6-1 in a very complete game on Friday, and then surviving a really close one on Saturday, which I think was probably what I expected after the 6-1 win, to see a close one on Saturday. Let me ask you about Friday, first of all, and just what kind of game that must have felt like one of your more complete home games that you guys have played in a long time.
Yeah, it felt like the first time we put together a real complete 60. Kind of, for me personally, felt like it was kind of like the old days when you can kind of sit back towards the end of the third period and just kind of relax, knowing the game's going to go in your favor and something crazy's not going to happen like the prior weekend and when we were playing Tech there and you got to score with less than a minute left. So that's always nice. And then going into Saturday, I mean, you know, it's real tough to end a team season, especially because you got seniors on the team that they might never play the game again, so they're going to leave it all out there. So it's always tough to end a team season, but I think we did a great job. Yeah,
and, you know, looking at Lake Superior State, too, especially Saturday, I thought they certainly didn't look like an eighth-place team. They looked like a team that's, you know, battled you to a lot of close games over the years, right? I mean, they've, even though I think your overall record against them is very good, I think, you know, take the scores away and just probably go with the way you guys feel coming out of those games, that they tend to give you guys a pretty good battle.
Yeah, they always give us a good challenge. I think they're a little bit of an older team, so they got in the tournament that one year, so they got that experience in there. I'm just happy that I played with Langenegger in junior, and
okay.
I got 4 goals this year, and 3 of them came against him, so it's a little suspect, but you know what, I'll take it.
So 3 of your goals came against him this year. Oh, that's...
Yeah. Don't look too much into that one.
And then he didn't start on Saturday, so maybe there was something to do that. So
yeah, they figured it out.
Well, you're having a great season. 27 points, career high, one more than last year at this point. Career high, 4 goals. 4 goals, 23 assists. A really good second half or second part of the season post January 1st, with 14 of your points and all 4 goals coming in the last 16 games. You had a great January. You were the CCHA Defenseman of the Month for January. Got to do a lot of media, which I know you love to do, so thanks for being here. As you said on at a post game that you don't love talking to the media, but you'll do it if it means that you played well and scored some goals, right?
Yeah, and then I score on Friday, and look at me, I'm back here doing media. Hey?
Here you go. We gotta keep you around somehow, right?
Keep the train rolling, I guess.
But actually, I just want to ask you about, you know, between you, Jake Livingstone, who has 30 points, and Andy Carroll, who's also had a great January, February, March, and he's got 23 points total. You guys are really getting a lot of scoring from the back end, and I know you and Jake have put up numbers in your first 2 years here, but when you kind of look at those numbers, and that's, you know, 57, that's 80 points among the 3 of you, if my math is correct. You know, what do you think of that? I mean, is that something that is expected going in, that you're able to put up those kind of numbers from the blue line?
Yeah, I mean, I think I expected it, because just knowing Livy and what he did at his last year at junior there and what I did my last year at junior, just points kind of come and go. But I mean, what Carroll's done so far, especially after Christmas here, has been really big for our team and really big for him too. Just his everydays, just his dailies, I've noticed, have been really good. I mean, he's been snapping the pill, which is, I don't know if you've been watching for 4 years, but that's something that he doesn't do very well, and he's kind of been finding it. So I love to see that. But I mean, yeah, I think all 3 of us play a really big part in generating offense from the back end there, and Yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, he's talking about Andy Carroll. I mean, he's playing with a lot of confidence. You can just see it kind of in the way that he moves with the puck on the ice and tries. You can tell he's really trying to find shooting lanes and trying to get pucks to the net and do some things to kind of really help build up some things and have some kind of that next layer of scoring maybe after what from that position after you and Jake.
Yeah, no, I think he's done a great job. He hasn't done a spin move in a while, which is good. So, Carol, wherever the camera is, no more spin moves. But it's been good. He's been doing really well. I'm happy for him.
That's pretty great. But and I think that's probably an testament to really. I mean, how would you characterize what's really happened over the last 2+ months now, where you guys have really made that stride, that get yourself in a position to do what you did a week ago and win a conference championship when, right after the holidays, you probably weren't sure if, that was going to be in the cards or where you guys were going to end up. And then, also just, to be in the position where you're winning a couple playoff games and feeling pretty good. I mean, can you just talk about from a defenseman standpoint and a D-core standpoint, what you guys have done over that time to really kind of help solidify everything else with the team?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think collectively as a team, after Christmas, we kind of just hit the reset button, flushed that whole first half of the season. And, I mean, after Christmas, you see a couple guys take really big strides, like Isley, Fitzgerald, hit another level. That guy's going to be special. He's going to be a real special player. Getting Tassie back, that's been big. Because I think kind of in that first half of the season when we lost Mo Morton, it was kind of a little deflating. So yeah. I think it was nice to kind of get those guys to hit the next level. And then us as a D-core, I think we've been doing it all year, but I think we've all kind of taken steps to come together and just be harder and have a little grit to us there on the back end and focus more on keeping the puck out of our net rather than putting the puck in the other team's net, which I think has been really big. And then obviously our goaltending has really stabilized us back there, which you need, especially having Dryden my first 2 years. You kind of get the same feeling around this time, especially with Keener stabilizing everything. So
yeah, it makes you guys more confident, I suppose, as a group to do some other things out there and not being quite as worried about what's happening behind you. I know there's still, you guys want to keep the shot level down and block shots and get as few pucks to Keenan as possible, but just having confidence in him, or your confidence in him now compared to, let's say, Thanksgiving time. Not that it wasn't there, but it's certainly gone way up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think we've all as a group always had confidence in both our goalies, but I think Keenan really stepped up and took that spot, and I think he's really got confidence in himself. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Coach Hastings talked, I think probably after that regular season Lake Superior State series where you scored some goals and got to talk to the media, but Coach Hastings talked a little bit about just your own consistency in your game and things that you have been doing. Did you feel like that's kind of come across in the second half more than the first half, kind of how he implied that where you've kind of figured some of that stuff out?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple conversations where he just kind of wanted me to focus on just the day that we're in right now and just focus on what you're doing today. So I think that's been big for me, just bringing that every day. And I mean, if you want to play pro hockey, which I want to play pro hockey, you gotta bring it every day. So I think that's been a big stepping stone for me.
When I hear a player say that or where they've talked about having that conversation with their coach, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you can tell me, but is that something where you thought you were doing it before and didn't realize that it needed to go up another level? Is it something where you realize, maybe I wasn't doing that every single day? How did that change for you?
I think it was kind of one of those things where I know I can do it and I know I've done it before, but sometimes you just need a little kick in the pants and a little reminder to be like, all right, you got to figure it out again. So you got to just start from the beginning and then you just got to start building your days, which I thought I've been doing a good job of since Christmas. So
I suppose it's one of those things for like anybody who's doing anything that's a habit, right? It's easy to fall out of the habit or not even realize that you've slipped in certain areas, right? And you need that reminder to get it back or to do it every day, as you said.
Yeah, you just get a little complacent, I guess is the word I'd use, yeah.
Okay. Did you feel like you noticed that, or did it really take that to be pointed out to you to kind of figure that part of it out?
I think it needed to be pointed out, yeah. Maybe a couple times he pointed it out.
Were there certain parts of your game where you really felt like you changed things or concentrated on?
Not really. I think I was just focusing on practice like every day, and then just started coming. And when it starts coming, then you just got to keep going with it. So
Sure.
it's been working out, yeah.
I look at your lineup every week, and you and Jake play together a lot, and then sometimes you've gotten split up. I'm sure a lot of that has been to do with trying to find the right combinations, but either way, it seems like you guys put a lot of minutes in a game, and I don't know what you average for minutes. Do you know what you average for minutes right now?
I have no idea.
No idea.
No, just go out there when he tells you to go out there and come off when he wants to come off.
It's one of my big crusades as a college hockey media person. I'd like to see time on ice as an official stat like it is in the NHL, but that's just for my own curiosity more than anything. But you definitely play a lot of minutes, and do you prefer to play with Jake? Does it not matter? Do you just go out when you go? What's your preference?
I hate playing with Jake. No, I'm just kidding. No, obviously I love playing with Jake. He's a good friend of mine, and I think we got really good chemistry out there. I think we've kind of built that rapport of knowing where each other are going to be, and just like the little nuances in each other's games. Something that like me and Jack had together.
Sure.
I think we've kind of built that over this year, which is good. And then obviously with us running 7D, you play one shift with Jake and then one shift with usually Bellini or Psychos. So I think I don't know. I don't know. It's good. It's really good. I think I would be more than happy to play with any one of the guys we got on the back end there and
Sure.
and thrive.
It's interesting, and that's a good thing, right? I mean, that's because you sometimes hear like, well, there has to be a certain chemistry, but I think there's got to be an advantage to being able to kind of play with anybody, and if you know their game well enough that you kind of know what you can do, and hopefully that in return, you guys can do that effectively out there.
Yeah, I think top to bottom, I think any of them would say that any of us could play with anyone at any time, and that it really doesn't matter. It's just you just have to play with someone, and you can't play with everybody.
Sure. Obviously we talked about Andy and Jake, but you mentioned the other guys in your D-core. When people were looking at the way you guys were struggling a little bit in the first half, and I would point out just the turnover defensively, the players you lose when you lose a Wyatt Amat and when you lose a Jack McNeely, those are big shoes to fill. Not to mention, who you lost in goal and who you lost up front. But it's been really kind of fun to see the improvement of some of those guys who had to go fill those spots. Kind of get thrown in the fire early in the season, whether it is a Bellini in his second year, or Wheeler in his first year, or Tony Malinowski in a season where he's playing every night, where he had in his first couple of years. You just talk about their improvement as a D-core and kind of how you feel about the way the entire group's kind of come together and gelled since really since maybe the first of the year.
Yeah, I think we all recognize that we needed to do something to all improve individually and collectively. After that Christmas, we kind of took some time, reflected on it, and yeah, I think everybody took big steps. I think Steve's been really good. I mean, he's just such a smart player, so I think he's going to be really good. I mean, Tony obviously coming into this year, knowing that you're going to play a lot more minutes, he's done a great job with that. Just being solid back there defensively, kind of taking on that Jack McNeely, Wyatt Amat, kind of just stabilizing us back there. So he's done a really good job. So, I mean, then obviously the freshmen have done a great job. And, I mean, it takes a little while when you're a freshman to kind of build your legs to be able to play the college game. And even just the minutes that they've been playing has been really good. So I think, yeah, we've done a really good job, and I like where we're at right now.
I forgot to mention Campbell Psychos. You mentioned him earlier, but he's another of the freshmen, and just watching their games develop over time, because it's as I'm sure you remember as a freshman, you had a great freshman year, but I'm sure you recall. I mean, that's it's a big new step from your previous life.
Yeah, I know. me and Levy were talking about it the other day. Just that first game that we had in Bemidji as freshmen, is kind of, we played that Friday, and I remember him saying, like, oh, man, I don't know if I can play this next game on Saturday, and then the game got canceled because COVID. So
that's right. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, your freshman year would have been the COVID year. Yeah, there's no one in the stands, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah, you didn't play a lot of back-to-backs in junior? It was just every other day kind of thing, or?
Well, I mean, it's just a different game. I mean, in junior, you'd play Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Usually, you'd always play Friday, Saturday. Sometimes a Wednesday game sprinkled in there, but I think still college is it's just another level. You know.
Yeah.
You just got to take that step.
And now you're juniors, and it's kind of old hat. Now you kind of realize what the freshmen are going through then.
Yeah, yeah. So you can definitely relate, but I'll tell you, it flies by.
Yeah, here you are in your third year, at the end of your third year, and it's playoff time, and you got Ferris State coming in this weekend, a team that you swept at Big Rapids last time you played them, but the last time they were here, they swept you guys. So nothing gets any easier.
Yeah, I think. Well, this time of year, I think everything resets. So
sure,
whether they're the better team, whether we're the better team, anyone can win at this time of year. So, got to bring it every night. Got to be ready to play, and I think that's what we're going to be doing this week.
I just want to ask you a little bit again about this past weekend, and especially Saturday night, and kind of that experience of going into that grind of a game. Even though I said earlier, it's not anything I didn't expect, but what is that like for a player when you win, like you said you did, where you kind of felt like you could kind of go cruise into the third period, knowing that you had things pretty well in hand, to go into that next night where, it's scoreless after one again, and it's a tight game, throughout.
Yeah, well, I think our coaches did a good job in prepping us for, because ending a team season.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's just so hard to do. Nobody wants to have their season ended, so you got to lay it all out there on the line. So we knew they were going to do that, and I mean, we got a pretty experienced group, so I think we've been in those kind of games before. So I think we've learned and grown in the second half and learning how to close out tight games like that. So I mean, I didn't really have any nerves, but it was really nice to see Sandy put that 1-5 hole.
Well, second week in a row, you guys are on the power play late in the game. Everybody in the crowd probably expecting that, and probably everybody on the bench probably expecting a game to go to overtime. And Ryan Sandlin scores with 77 seconds left in regulation to put you guys up. What was that like? Just experiencing that.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit of chills, kind of. I mean, the crowd the whole weekend was really good. I was kind of surprised with it being spring break and stuff. But
sure.
Yeah, no, the building was buzzing. I mean, I think the band was bigger. I noticed. I don't know if they added new members to the band, but they were really carrying that student section. So I like that. That really got me going. But yeah, no, it was great. Great crowd. The only thing I'd say is I wish Adam Isley would have scored. That would have been cool, scoring on his brother, game winner.
I'll admit, as a person, neutral party observer watching from the stands or from the press box, yeah, that was that was discussed. See if Adam can score. Mm-hmm. I think he had one pretty good chance though late, didn't he? If I recall right, but. Yeah, that would have been kind of cool. Probably not for his brother, but
yeah, it would have been a good storyline though.
And then he unfortunately got hurt in the last, late in the game, and looked like he had to come out or had, which was odd. So, or not Adam, but his brother, the goaltender. So, it was kind of a strange play there, and they made a goalie change after Sandlin's goal, and. Put your guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. Well, if he would have scored, that would have been a great storyline, and he would have been here doing media. I guarantee it. I would have loved to talk to him about that one. Yeah. If I was you, I'd have him on.
I probably would have. I probably would have
scored on your brother. What was that like?
They definitely would have got asked that after the game too. That would have been fun. I noticed they got their pictures taken together prior to the game when Lake Superior State was here for the regular season, but he didn't get a start and goal that weekend. So But yeah, those are always good stories for sure. Good storylines to follow as the games go on. And then, of course, the week before, I have to ask you about that a little bit and just that experience against Michigan Tech, that final 2 minutes. What was that like for you? Had you ever been in a game like that or experienced kind of those crazy ups and downs, all kind of jammed together in a 1.5 to 2 minute span?
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of just stuff that happens in that building. It's kind of regular at this time of year.
Right.
I mean, that was a roller coaster, I'll say that. But, I mean, it's kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of the Bemidji game the prior year.
Yeah.
When you score and then you win, then you celebrate. And everyone's like, woo, and then they're like, wait, it didn't count. We got to go back and play. But this one was a little condensed time period. So, yeah, definitely a roller coaster ride. But happy we ended up on the top of it.
Yeah, crazy game as everybody's noted. Yeah, you can't, you probably can't ever replicate what happened a year ago against Bemidji State. Bringing a team back on the ice an hour after they thought they won. But yeah, certainly just to have a goal scored, get waved off, get a power play, give up a shorthanded goal, then score a game winner, all in a minute and a half span. It's,
I mean, I kind of had a funny feeling that we were going to score again. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of had a funny feeling it was probably going to be a senior on senior night. And then of course Birchie puts one high blocker there. So that's pretty awesome. Score one on senior night.
Yeah, that's
championship.
Exactly. You got to feel pretty good for him, especially for a guy who's had a little bit of trouble scoring goals this season, and even though he's had a lot of chances, but as you guys know, it gets so hard, and you're just watching guys, and when they have those moments, and it's not quite there, and it's not for a lack of effort, and then he gets it. I think you guys had to been thrilled, not only to win it, but for him.
Yeah, of course. That's just awesome for him. Great way to cap it off.
Yeah, that's very cool. One thing I talked to Coach Hastings about this last week, and I'd like to ask you. I mean, your first 2 years here, and I know the first year was a COVID year, and that's odd. But you go to 2 Frozen Fours, and you just have such a dominant team. Your first 2 seasons, and not that you cruised to a McNaughton Cup, but you certainly kind of in that position all year long, and single digit losses. And this season's a little different. We got those ups and downs at the beginning of the season, but you find a way to come through and win a championship on the last night. Where you're a point behind in the standings, and find a way to do it. Is there something that's, I'm not going to say better or worse, but just differently satisfying about the way that you guys accomplished that this year, where it's different? I think Cade Orchard talked a little bit about it after that game, saying, it's just a different way of winning compared to those first 2 years for you. What was it differently satisfying to kind of fight and claw your way to a championship compared to having that kind of every night dominant consistency the previous years?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different. I mean, obviously, I think everybody would like to be set in stone that
Sure.
you got it locked up. But I mean, I guess, yeah, I think I'd rather just have it locked up. But but I mean, either way, it just builds a suspense, I guess. Builds good moments, good memories. I'd say that's the only thing for me personally that really does. I think maybe the first 2 years, it was kind of had at least my eye. I had my eye on the tournament more than the CCHA or WCHA playoffs at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I think that us being in the spot that we're in right now it's just a little bit different. I think that's the only way you can put it. It's a little bit different. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just kind of different.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it's there's got to be something that's. I would think there's be something that's at least satisfying in the sense that you found a way to do that. Where not saying it didn't come easy to you guys when you're dominant. You put that work in, you put that effort in, and you made yourself a really good team every single night. This year, for different reasons, as coach always says, peaks and valleys and that sort of thing. But you had to find out if you had that little extra gear, if you could find that in the second half after a tough first half, right?
Yeah, I'd say it was really satisfying for our group to kind of reward ourselves after all the hard work we put in, especially after that first half and all the noise that we were hearing from everybody saying, oh, we're done, they don't got it anymore, or Coach Hastings doesn't got it, these guys, they lost all these players, they don't have it anymore. So I think it's really satisfying because, we, even as players, you read all that stuff, and it's kind of well, I don't think that. And then you come out second half, and you have a really good second half. So, it builds the suspense, and it kind of just silences the haters, and, it feels really good.
So now you're looking, obviously, you're in a little bit better spot than you were a week ago in terms of the pairwise rankings, and but you can definitely get into the tournament by winning the Mason Cup. So that's probably the priority rather than playing around with the numbers and worrying about where you're falling in those areas.
Yeah, I think we're just looking at it. You win and you're in. So I think that's how we're going to look at it, and I think that's the right way to be looking at it right now.
And the other, so you'll have Ferris State this weekend. The other semifinal in the CCHA is Northern Michigan at Michigan Tech. The two winners will play each other at the high seed, which means if Minnesota State wins this weekend, they will host the Mason Cup championship against a very good Michigan Tech team, which we saw a couple weeks ago, or a red hot Northern Michigan team that's playing as well as I think everyone expected to play early in the year, but they're rolling right now. So the teams that are left are, I know the big upset was Ferris State knocking off Bowling Green, but Ferris State took points from almost everybody this season, and certainly were capable. So, what do you think of the conference as a whole and the teams that are left?
Yeah, I think I was a little bit surprised by the Bemidji because they've always been solid.
Yeah,
my first 2 years they've always been there in the mix. And then the Bowling Green one, obviously, I think they had a really good team this year too. But I think this year the conference was really balanced. There was a lot more balance of power, especially with the usually the lower teams like Ferris State. They kind of found their game, especially towards the end of the year, and they just play a hard kind of gritty game, and looks like they all buy into what their coach is selling. So that's a scary team, and I think we'll be ready for them. So I'm excited.
Well, best of luck to you against the Bulldogs on Saturday night in Mankato. It's a one-game semifinal, no best of three anymore, as it was last weekend. So it should be a lot of fun on Saturday at the Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center in downtown Mankato. Akito Hirose, thanks for joining me today. Best of luck against the Bulldogs this weekend.
Pleasure. Thanks, Shane.
All right. We'll see you later. I'm Shane Frederick. This has been the Maverick Hockey Live podcast presented by Dunkin.